Welcome to the Agóra podcast, episode number 1. My name is Ryan Murphy, and I'm accompanied by my fellow partners, Sam Kaiser and Jack Olohan. Now today, first off, we're going to be talking about the hero's journey. First, I'll start off with myself. First question is, who are you and what are you? I said that I'm a loyal brother. Brother in a sense. I have 3 older brothers, and we were brothers high school, so I really see that in my life. And I feel like I'm loyal. That's a key trait about myself that I prioritize in my life. Now the next question is, what's home? I really identify as American. I'm from the United States, more specifically from the Northeast, Massachusetts, and I'm a resident of Milton, Massachusetts. But more specific and different, I see home in my family, my 3 brothers, my mom, dad, my nana, and also my friends here today and the ones that aren't on camera today. And more metaphorically, I see home in the hockey rink, on the ice, and in the locker room, just places of comfort of mine that I can always be myself in. And following this up, am I a materialist? No, I'm not a materialist. My starting beliefs at the beginning of this year consists of just being a Roman Catholic, member of the Roman Catholic Church, and being a true believer in the Holy Trinity. So that's kind of my hero's journey, the starting point in that sense. But now I want to turn it over to Sam Kaiser.
All right, so to add on to what Ryan was saying, who are you, what are you? I said I'm a loving friend. I said that because I value my friendships and my relationships with others. What is home? I just kind of define home for me as a place of comfort. But like Ryan said, I'm from West Roxbury. I call myself an American. I pride myself with those things. And home is just a place to rest, recover, relax, to be your true, most authentic self. That's kind of what I think of home. The question of a materialist, no, I'm not a materialist. I'm a believer of Jesus Christ, the teachings of Jesus Christ. So I would say I'm a Catholic. I think the life of Jesus Christ is something that I follow, and his teachings and his believings. So for me, that would be kind of the starting beliefs of mine. Now I'm just going to throw it over to Jack Olohan.
So to answer the same questions that Ryan and Sam answered, who am I and what am I? I don't like to condense myself down to 2 words, but I'll say I'm a hard-working brother. I pride myself in how hard I work in different aspects of life and trying to achieve the goals that I've set for myself. And for what's home, I live in Walpole, and I love living in a great house with my family, but I think home is wherever you feel comfortable and where you can truly be yourself. So home for me is at Severian, on the basketball court and the soccer field, where I truly feel at home and myself. I'm not a materialist. I follow the beliefs of the Roman Catholic Church. I believe there's a all-knowing, all-loving, all-powerful God. I believe that Jesus is the Son of God, and that there is a heaven, a hell, and a purgatory, and our actions in this life determine where we go when we die.
So yeah, that section was pretty much just to get to know you portion of the 3 of us. It seemed very formal and robotic maybe, but we're very chill guys, and we like to just converse normally. You'll see that in the next section. But the questions were very baseline. We go whatever's home. I think it was kind of a consensus idea that we all thought home was a place of comfort. None of us are materialists, and our starting beliefs were all kind of Roman Catholic, so there might be some bias there in any of these topics, honestly. Moving on to the second part of our podcast here. This is more like the interactive section where we can more converse and discuss our beliefs and ideas on the following kind of questions that we're going to cover. You'll see more of our personality more. It'll be more probably more enjoyable to watch, if I'm being honest. But the first question is kind of, what's our vocation?
Yeah, so I talked about that my vocation is I want to pursue a general career in business, but okay. I think the main thing that I want to be able to do is to be able to make enough money to be able to be satisfied and secure with my life, but then able to give that money back to others, which is kind of rooted in something in our faith. But yeah, Ryan, what would you say?
Just in general, just do great things with my life. Whether if I'm super successful or not, just be happy in life and do great things. I feel like that's just a good overall goal for anyone. What do you think?
Yeah, I think as of right now, I'm still discerning my vocation. Not really at the level where I know exactly what I want to do, but it's something I've been praying about, and I'm trying the best to listen to God and listen to what He's telling me to do.
More on the purpose level, what's your purpose? Not what's your overall arcing goal, vocation, but what's more your general purpose. I just said be considerate of people. Everyone has different backgrounds and different beliefs and different life experiences. Just be considerate, because I think that just goes a long way in your life.
Adding on to what Ryan said, I want to be able to about the question of purpose. I want to be able to honor and glorify God in my everyday life, and then ultimately to be able to make a lot of good relationships in our life, because that's kind of one of the main things why we're here is to make meaningful relationships with others.
Yeah, I think going off of what Kaiser said, it's if I love and serve God, then in turn I'm gonna love and serve myself and love and serve others. I think that's where true joy lies, not only in this life, but if I do that, then I'm gonna be able to be united with God in the afterlife.
Unique and unrepeatable. This is a fun question.
It's the first area where we're not gonna be similar.
Yeah, so I think something that I want to talk about is my family. I have 4 siblings. We're all very different people. I think that's kind of unique. We're not, each one of us is very unique and unrepeatable through our interests.
But I said for my unique and unrepeatable, so I'm an 18-year-old godfather, so I have 2 nephews and a niece, and I'm the godfather of one of my nephews, and I also have 2 older brothers who are in the Marines.
Yeah, one thing that people are usually shocked by when they hear is that I have 7 siblings.
It's nuts.
It's pretty rare in this day and age. People usually don't have that big of families. And so that's like a cool, unique thing. I think my family dynamic is very different than most, and it's great. I love it. And another unique thing about me is I'm a pretty traditional Catholic. Like I go to Mass basically every Sunday, which again, I feel like something is not a lot of people do nowadays, but I think it's something that keeps me grounded and is a great thing for my spiritual life.
Gifts and talents, we're all kind of different in this sense too, which is interesting. I'm a hockey player. I've been playing hockey my whole life, and I'm a math brain. I really want to go into business for college. I've loved taking math courses. I think I take 3 this year.
Yeah, no, so for my special gift and talent, like Ryan, I play sport, I play golf. I've been playing golf for the past 2 years now pretty competitively. That's something. That's something that I enjoy doing. Something that's special to me that I value is my ability to be able to like make relationships with other people very easily.
Yeah, I'd like to think I'm pretty smart and well-spoken. I work hard in school, and I take pride in just having a strong mind and being able to make good decisions. And I'm pretty good at soccer, and I play basketball as well, and those are things that I really enjoy doing.
Life mission, guys. What are we thinking?
I'll start off, I think like going back to, this is a very similar question of mine as to purpose, is like my life mission is to be able to create godly relationships with others. So like, rooted in being able to, get to know other people, make good relationships, all kind of rooted in glorifying God.
Yeah, I think my life mission kind of goes back to vocation, because I think I want to get a good job that I'm truly called to by God.
But this question I'm more focused on just like to start a loving family. Meet a great woman, have a great family. Centered around God is the main thing in that. Things we like about ourselves. There's kind of like a portion where we can kind of like uplift ourselves here. I like my charisma, and I value my connections with the people in my life. This consists of a lot of things. My friends. I think I have great, humorous interactions with my friends. Great times. In school, out of school with my friends. I got my friends from my school, and then also friends from my town, and also my family too.
Yeah, adding on to what Ryan said, I think like some of the things that I really like about myself are my values. I've learned a lot of values as a variant, and being able to like, hold myself to an account to be able to be like, okay, here's what's right, here's what's wrong. And then also like, I think I like that like I'm dedicated to certain things in my life, like school, my relationships, and like sports. And
I like my humor. I think when I'm in the right crowd, I can be pretty funny. I also think, saying what Ryan said about charisma, I think I'm like pretty well mannered. I'm good at meeting new people and making a good first impression.
Well, Jack, what do you think you need to improve on, man?
I think going back to the theological aspect is just to strengthen my relationship with God and stop easily falling into sin. I feel like we're at an age now where there's a lot of bad stuff going on around us that it gets easy to get caught up on. And but I think if I can strengthen my relationship with God and start seeking long-term goals instead of immediate pleasure, then it'll go a long way.
Yeah, so the improve on question, let me spin that around. I'm going to answer that, and you got to answer that too. I think it's a really good question about your guys. Same thing with my relationship with God. I think that's something we all agree on. No one's perfect. No one can, have the perfect relationship with God. You can always make it stronger and stronger and better and better. So I think that's something everyone can always work on, and I think we can all agree on. But one thing I've seen in my life is, focusing on the big things. And I feel like I focus on the small things too much. I feel like that's just, I hyper fixate on things that are not as important in my life, and see through the things that are the most important. And I feel like I built up good habits of getting the small things done and that kind of thing. But the big things are some of the things that are a lot of the times what I miss out on and what caused me to not succeed in certain areas of life. So I think it's something I'd like to improve on. Growing up and after graduating high school and through college, just pinning it down and getting the big things done and focusing on the big things. Primarily my relationship with God.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, similar to these guys, building a strong relationship with God is very important, something I want to improve on. But I also said like being outgoing is something I want to improve on, because like if you can be like very extroverted, then you can be able to make more friends and make more relationships, and then also like something that we can all improve on is being more disciplined to like our ideals and things we want to do. Sometimes we can be tempted to do other things or not be consistent with our goals and stuff. So that's something I also want to work on.
I think all in all, we just gotta focus on the big picture and what truly matters, and stop fixating so much on things that in the long run are pretty insignificant or empty.
We are back on the Agóra podcast, episode number 1. We had some, technical difficulties with the film from before, and we didn't realize. So we're now here on Zoom. We're dedicated. We're here, and we're back to talk about, some further topics which we didn't cover before. I'd like to start off by asking you guys what makes a human human.
I think simply put, just our consciousness. It's something that no other beings besides humans attain just to the same level that we have it.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think that for me, humans are, what makes a human is, what your body parts are, what you're made of, and then also your consciousness. And I think your consciousness can also be related to that second question, what makes a person a person. I think that talk about that humans have a soul, and the reason that we were made in the likeness and image of God is because we have a soul.
Yeah, I think all three of us kind of agree on those two questions. What makes a human human, what makes a person a person. Just the presence of consciousness and a soul, and that we're both made in God's eyes, the way He wanted to. Moving on, are you just physical parts of your body? No, I don't think so. It's a very materialistic way to kind of view yourself. I think everyone has a soul, and I just do not see that as a plausible explanation that we're just the physical parts. There's something else more than just us as bones and flesh, I think.
Yeah, this goes back to the ship of Theseus, that hypothetical where the parts kept being taken off the ship and put on another ship, but even the original ship, even if it's lost a lot of its parts, that's still the true ship of Theseus, not because of its outer parts, but because of its essence, which is what makes a thing what it is, and that can't be taken away. And I think that segues us into our the element of qualia, which is something we discussed a lot in class, and I was looking to get some of you guys' viewpoints on that.
Yeah, I think for me, as we define qualia, it is that qualia is basically what you think and what you believe of certain experiences. I think the best example of this was Mary in the black and white room, and talk about how Mary knew everything about the color red, but she didn't know what the color red actually looked like. And there's that question of did she actually learn anything from having that experience? And I think it's because you only experience red or experience certain feelings when you experience them, because then you have your own judgment. And so qualia is just a great example of why, we actually have a soul, and why materialism is kind of just a false way of looking at certain things.
Yeah, one example of qualia, similar to Kaiser's example with Mary in the Black Room, is that of psychological zombies. If you try to explain, what consciousness was to one of them, they wouldn't be able to grasp it, because you need to have it to be able to understand what it is. And that's why I think as humans we can realize that we have consciousness and address that and know that there's something different about us past just the materialistic way of seeing ourselves.
Yeah, I think qualia is one of the best arguments against materialism, because it is a phenomenon that's not measurable, it's not physical, but yet it still exists, and it's difficult to deny its existence. I know what chocolate tastes like, and I can't really describe that because my taste of chocolate is personal. It's not what Ryan tastes when he tastes chocolate. It's not what Sam tastes when he tastes chocolate. And that's a subjective experience that can't be physically explained.
Now we're going to move on to the supporting arguments that surround near-death experiences. We're going to be calling them NDEs here just for short. But one thing I would like to bring up about near-death experiences, if you don't know what near-death experiences are, they're just out-of-body experiences upon clinical death. Something that I see that really supports that NDEs are true in occurrences are the accounts of people coming back from a near-death experience and saying they saw a dead relative that told them something they wouldn't know. This is just something that totally disproves that NDEs aren't true, because how would someone know that information without that occurring? And it's just something that really makes me think that NDEs are true. What are some other counter arguments you guys see in NDEs?
Yeah, so I found something that we talked about in class, because we talked about NDEs a bunch in class, and the best example that stood out to me was when people came back from their NDEs, they were able to know of things that were placed, really random things that were placed in their room, or most likely outside of their room or outside of their kind of floor in their hospital. So for example, there was a study that showed that someone came back from an NDE and knew that there was a blue shoe outside their window, but not outside their window, a window of a few stories up. So they were able to know something that was so out of body, and know something so random that only would be able to happen from some sort of metaphysical reality that they were be able to go into. And so like qualia, NDEs is just a great example, a great way of counter-arguing materialism.
Yeah, and if you want to, obviously we're all Catholics and look at this from a Catholic point of view, but even if you want to take it from a materialist, physicalist point of view, it still doesn't add up to being something scientifically explainable. In the homework in our textbook, we read about how researchers placed electrodes in the brain that would trigger out-of-body like experience, and they used it on patients who had NDEs, and they said it was nothing like their NDEs, that their NDEs weren't artificial, they weren't due to something happening solely in the brain, but rather was an out-of-body, a metaphysical experience, which I think it's good to look at these things from angles that aren't based in purely faith, but also science.
Yeah, with us talking about NDEs here, there's a lot of materialist explanations as to why they're not true. A big one I saw was the whole lying point, which I just think fully is, counteracted by the point I made and the point that Sam made, because these kinds of things people can't just lie about and come up with on the spot, especially coming back from being clinically dead. It's just, it's totally unreasonable and inexplainable that these accounts are lies. I'm not saying there aren't some accounts that are lies. I feel like a lot of people are attention seekers and these kinds of stuff, but some certain accounts, the whole lying aspect seems totally unreasonable.
Also, if more physicalist explanations that have been debunked are like hallucinations, but which is actually something I believe. Before taking this course, I thought they were just hallucinations or dreams, but hallucinations fail to explain the phenomenon of like people seeing dead relatives they didn't know previously were dead, or coming back with knowledge they didn't previously know. And then the dreaming aspect, people tend to wake up from dreams stressed and confused, but NDEs are the complete opposite. People come back from these experiences with a newfound purpose and positive and life-changing feedback.
Yeah, I think a big thing that NDEs also showed me personally was a way to kind of connect science and, I guess faith. Being able to do something like that is really hard. And so to be able to explain something that happens that's clinically proven, that people have come back from near-death experiences with like this fulfillment, with this sort of enlightenment, and kind of relate that back to like real scientific evidence, is something that's kind of really cool.
Yeah, moving on to like kind of like a personal reflection portion on the NDE topic. How does the NDE research affect you too?
I would say that the NDE research kind of it didn't really affect me in a big way, and how I looked at my faith. It just confirmed that like NDEs are real, and it can also show that we are more than just the parts of our bodies, that we have a soul, that we this is just a great way of explaining that there definitely is some sort of spiritual world, even if you don't strictly believe in God and heaven and the stuff that the three of us believe in. It's just a way of explaining a more metaphysical realm that's out there than just this world.
Yeah, I think given that many of the cases we researched were positive, it made me fear death a little less. Like the experiment of showing these deathly images that tend to raise the heartbeat and raise the heart rate of participants who see them. And then when you have a NDE person who experienced an NDE do the same test, they don't experience that raise in heart rate. I think it shows that it gives clarity into the afterlife and new knowledge and confidence that it's all going to be okay, and we shouldn't fear death as much as a lot of people do.
Yeah, so none of this affected my faith. I'm a devout Roman Catholic, and it makes me wonder in a way, NDEs, like, what portion of our life is the most significant? Is it, in the now on earth, or is it afterlife? That's the question that arose in my mind specifically, but it's different for everyone, and I think it's just had a positive impact on all three of us. Final kind of portion here is how our NDEs, like, as they become more commonly taught and like more comfortably talked about, how is that going to affect our world today?
Yeah, I think for me, as they be more commonly taught, even though right now there's something that's kind of new in the science and the faith kind of world, it'll just show that like materialism is something that just cannot be explained. It's just another example of that. Materialism is at this point in time something that can really not be justified and explained correctly, just due to all the other examples besides NDEs. But I think NDEs are just like right now becoming one of the strongest examples for why we have a consciousness, why we have a soul, and why there's some sort of metaphysical realm out there.
Yeah, I think if these experiences keep getting more well-known and widespread, it will have a good impact on society, as it'll open more people to the idea of there being life after death and light at the end of the tunnel, and a God, if it has the power to convert an atheist or someone who doesn't believe in God.
Yeah, overall, I just think this research is going to positively affect our society, but it's just going to be very eye-opening. It's going to raise a lot more questions that come, but then I think it's a big field where research is needed, and as time goes on, more and more research is going to be enacted, and that sort of thing. that concludes episode number 1 of our podcast. Thank you for tuning in, and stay tuned because more is to come.